So I give all three of them credit for their performance last night in Philadelphia. It was a packed house, 15,000 people going nuts. I think Chicago will see a similar scene.
When Fox News host and former Trump press secretary Kayleigh McEnany teed up her fellow Fox host, Bill Hemmer, to bash Vice President Harris and the Democrats, Hemmer not only refused to take the bait, but he actually publicly praised the vice president, her running mate Tim Walz, and Democratic Governor Josh Shapiro for their outstanding rally that they had the night before, and it was glorious. But before we unpack all of that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have several clips to talk about in this video, starting with this clip from Fox News. So Kayleigh McEnany is a former Trump press secretary. She's a co-host on Outnumbered alongside Harris Faulkner and a couple of others. And they usually have like a rotating guest that sits in the middle. The person is outnumbered. And this time they chose Bill Hemmer, who is a conservative Fox News host. We picked on him here before because he deserves it. But he's not as like crazy MAGA as a lot of others like Harris Faulkner and Kayleigh McEnany, Jesse Waters, and Greg Gutfeld. So we're going to play this clip in which she tees him up. She's like, hey, listen, here's a chance to really cast aspersions at the anti-Semitism in the Democratic Party and talk about, you know, the real reason that Vice President Harris didn't pick Governor Shapiro. But Hemmer actually goes with a more sober and surprising response.
Then, you know, as I was leaving here yesterday, Bill, I saw this Politico reporting that Josh Shapiro, after his Sunday meeting, someone on his team called Kamala Harris's office and said that he was struggling with the decision to leave his current job as governor. And I thought to myself, why is he struggling with this? And then later in the night, CNN came out with this report, and it was about some of the questions Kamala Harris wanted to ask. She wanted to make sure she could ask questions like this during the vetting process. You're going to go from a principal to a hybrid principal staffer. Okay, so the VP is now a staffer. Ooh. Can you make that transition? The biggest hurdle for Shapiro was his face-to-face meeting where he posed specific questions about the role of vice president, including what decisions he would be included in making.
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty interesting at a camera in that interview, the two of them. I don't know what the reason is, but it's possible, to your point. Look, there was a lot of pushback that was just emanating from somewhere, Friday and Saturday into Sunday, that was stacking up against him. And where that was coming from, I don't know. Fetterman was one of them was talking about.
Yes.
I mean, look, we won't know, but hypothetically speaking, there's a chance if Josh Shapiro was on the ticket, you could have 50,000 people in Michigan who sit out this election. They would choose not to vote. That's a possibility. I'm not saying it was. I thought he was very impressive yesterday. I thought she gave a great speech. She reads a great teleprompter. I don't know what she is off the teleprompter. That's what America needs to know. Apparently, Tim Walz never read a teleprompter, and he went during the vetting process, and he told them, he said, listen, one thing you got to know about me, I can't do this prompter thing. And so they practiced backstage. I thought he pulled it off equally as well. So I give all three of them credit for their performance last night in Philadelphia. It was a packed house, 15,000 people going nuts. I think Chicago will see a similar scene.
So pretty rare and like unambiguous praise for prominent Democratic politicians from a Fox News host. And again, that wasn't on like America's Newsroom, which again, they're all Fox shows, all of them without exception are right-leaning. It's just to various extents, right? So Bill Hemmer is one of the straight news journalists alongside Dana Perino, who I think is more openly Republican and more openly Trump supporting than even Hemmer. But he's on Outnumbered, which is an opinion show. Kayleigh McEnany used to work for Donald Trump. He signed her checks, or rather the federal government did under his administration. Harris Faulkner is also an unabashed Trump supporter, and so were the other guests. That's why when he started to praise the vice president, Governor Shapiro and Governor Walz, and the camera cut back to him and the four guests, notice how none of them were like, yeah, actually, that's true. They gave a really good performance. You could hear a veritable pin drop as Bill Hemmer made his points. But folks, that goes to show how good last night's rally in Philadelphia really was. And I do want to play some clips. We covered the whole thing. We watched the whole thing yesterday as it went live, but some highlights, one from Governor Shapiro, even though the entire speech was excellent, one from the vice president. And then I want to give you a couple from future vice president and current Minnesota governor, Tim Walz. But we're going to start here with Governor Shapiro.
And Donald Trump? Well, he's now got a partner with him. Y'all see that guy? Yeah. J.D. Vance, he's not exactly off to a good start. I think we can all agree on But I think part of the reason why he's not off to a good start is this, and it's serious. He doesn't know who he is. And he's not being honest with himself, so he can't be honest with the American people. He can't. Now, so if I hear you right, and I think I do, you're chanting, he's a weirdo. Which means, man, I love you, Philly. Which means, if you're chanting, he's a weirdo, then you heard of my good friend and our next Vice President, Tim Walz.
And indeed, he did a great intro speech by Governor Shapiro, an excellent rhetorician and orator. Then after him, Vice President Harris spoke. I want to play a clip here, one of the many highlights of her speech that, again, a Fox News host has publicly praised.
This campaign, our campaign, is not just a fight against Donald Trump. Our campaign, this campaign, is a fight for the future. It's a fight for the future. In Pennsylvania, we fight for a future with affordable housing, affordable health care, affordable child care, paid leave. We fight for a future where we build a broad-based economy, where every American has the opportunity to own a home, to start a business, and to build wealth.
That was probably the highlight of the vice president's speech for me personally, because it was an affirmative part of her agenda once she wins the election. If she wins the election, what will continue on from the Biden administration's wildly successful domestic agenda and what she plans to, expound on and to expand on. Governor Walz of Minnesota is a wildly accomplished Democratic governor. He's the most legislatively successful Democratic governor active, and there are many of them out there, including Governor Shapiro, and also Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan, Governor Beshear, Governor Cooper, Governor Newsom, Governor Hochul. I mean, we have a deep bench of talent, and Walz is, in my opinion, at the top of it. And so this is what I'm excited about, this idea that he will also have an influence on the vice president once she becomes president and push her in an even more progressive direction and encourage her to actually wield the power she has and not be so tepid about it as many Democrats are. Negotiate with Republicans when and where you can, but if you have the advantage, you press it. That's what Walz does. That's what I love. A couple of highlights from the Walz speech that, again, a Fox News host has publicly praised.
Now, Donald Trump sees the world a little differently than us. First of all, he doesn't know the first thing about service. He doesn't have time for it because he's too busy serving himself. Again and again and again, Trump weakens our economy to strengthen his own hand. He mocks our laws. He sows chaos and division. And that's to say nothing of his record as president. He froze in the face of the COVID crisis. He drove our economy into the ground. And make no mistake, violent crime was up under Donald Trump. That's not even counting the crimes he committed.
Excellent part of the speech, making a very aggressive case against Donald Trump, which is quite frankly fact-based. The fact that Donald Trump's record as president was just objectively terrible. Republicans are lying to you about it. He inherited a great economy from President Obama. He drove it into the ground due to COVID mismanagement in 4 years. He also prior to the pandemic, deficit spent like hell, added $8 trillion to the debt total, double the amount of the debt that President Biden added. And that's, again, if you don't even count COVID. Costly trade war with China. He slowed down job growth. And then again, just in every other area, what did he do? $2 trillion tax cut for the rich. He tried to repeal and replace Obamacare. He failed. He tried to take away Obamacare again during the pandemic. His administration was just an abject failure compared to the vastly, objectively superior success of the Biden-Harris administration. So good on Governor Walz for pointing that out. Another clip.
Some of us in here are old enough to remember. I see you down there. I see those old white guys. Some of us are old enough to remember when it was Republicans who were talking about freedom. It turns out now what they meant was the government should be free to invade your doctor's office. In Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and their personal choices that they make. Even if we wouldn't make the same choice for ourselves, there's a golden rule. Mind your own damn business.
Yep. The Republican Party wants government small enough to go into your doctor's office, also your bedroom, between your sheets, right? Who you're having sex with, what consensual adult. Are they the same gender? Are they the same sex? That's forbidden in the Republican Party, and they want to cast that on the entire United States. And also, they want government small enough to fit in your uterus for somebody who can get pregnant. One last clip of Governor Walz here might be the standout moment in which he really took the gloves off and humiliated J.D. Vance.
Like all regular people I grew up with in the heartland, J.D. studied at Yale, had his career funded by Silicon Valley billionaires, and then wrote a bestseller trashing that community. Come on! That's not what middle America is. And I got to tell you, I can't wait to debate the guy. That is if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. So, you see what I did there?
The crowd loved it. But I also loved Vice President Harris's reaction as well, because she was genuinely amused. Listen, great, stellar. I mean, I agree with Bill Hemmer, and it's very rare that I agree with a Fox News host, and certainly someone like Bill Hemmer, who is not Jessica Tarlov or Marie Harf or even Neil Cavuto, right? These are the three saner Fox News hosts and Fox News commentators. But Bill Hemmer had a point, which is that Governor Shapiro knocked it out of the park, Vice President Harris knocked it out of the park, and Governor Tim Walz, who apparently is not particularly familiar with a teleprompter, he apparently gives his speech, either memorizes them or off the cuff. He killed it. He just absolutely killed it. And that's why this rally did so damn well, and at least gives us a really solid starting point for a vigorous campaign, as long as we maintain it. Love it. Let me know what you think in the comments.